know the state and the film industry are on the verge of something really special, and we promise to recommend shooting here to all our friends and colleagues across the industry that are constantly searching for the smartest and best places to film. And it won't take long for New Jersey to be on everyone's list of places to come and film. So with that, I'm really honored to introduce Governor Phil Murphy.
Thanks, Matt. Okay. Come on, man. Wow. I want to welcome you to Gordon Johnson's home. Thank you, Gordon, for your willingness to leave this over to the NBC Universal.
You're welcome.
What a treat to be here. Executive producer Matt Corman. Matt, thanks, pal, to you and your colleagues at NBC Universal, and there are a bunch of them here today. A real treat to be with you. There are also representatives from the Motion Picture Association of America, so the MPAA folks I want to also give a shout-out to. There's lots to be excited about. We're here to say today that New Jersey is ready for its close-up. Yes. All right? Little Greta Garbo in here or something. From vibrant cities to picturesque small towns like Cresskill, and yes, also the Jersey Shore, the place that is, New Jersey has always had everything to be, just making sure you're paying attention, the perfect backdrop for film and television. This is part of our history and part of that innovative DNA for which we were once so renowned. This just in, let's remember one thing here, actually two things. Thomas Edison invented motion pictures in New Jersey. All right? The first home for Universal Studios in Fox, anybody know? Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Where's Tommy Myers?
Yeah. Now, to riff on something you've heard me say a lot in another vein, we were Hollywood before there was a Hollywood. And today we're putting New Jersey back in the spotlight. As part of our budget, we renewed the film and television tax credit that had helped draw production teams from across the country and, in fact, around the world to New Jersey. And now we have the first concrete proof that our action was the right one to take. So thanks to Matt and his colleagues, The Enemy Within, which welcomed us on the set today, is the first production to begin since I signed the bill in early July. NBC Universal has had a long history with New Jersey. I believe I got this right, Law & Order and Mercy, among other shows, were filmed here, whether on location or on a soundstage. But those sets were shuttered when our tax credit was left to wither. But today, New Jersey's back. And that's why I am so happy to be here to welcome the cast and the crew of The Enemy Within. As an aside, Matt and I were discussing this earlier. The real reason I'm here today is I'm the past president of the Hasty Pudding Theatricals. I was the first four-year performer for the Hasty Pudding. So if there is an opportunity, Matt, in the script for a 6'3" Irish and American who could tap dance, I want to raise my hand, sir. Or perhaps I can understudy the part of the FBI agent par excellence, Will Keaton. Either way, put me in, coach. Being the backdrop for a major television production is definitely cool. But even more important is the economic boost this production will provide. First, and this is important, these are good union jobs being produced, whether through the Screen Actors Guild, IATSE, the Teamsters, the Building Trades, among other affiliated unions. And these are wages and jobs, hello, Joan, that we desperately need. Joan, the auditions are beginning at 10:45. You and I are up first. I'm ready for my close-up with you. Second, there's no denying the benefits that will flow to the community offset. The cast and crew will be catered by local restaurants and visit local stores, supporting small businesses right here in this community. And finally, I believe when people see us on their TV screens at home, or in the movies, it will encourage them to want to come and see us for themselves, to see the locations where their favorite characters hung out or walked down a main street that just seems so inviting. I must note that in addition to as Matt already said, but it's important to reiterate, in addition to on-location sets like this, NBC Universal will also be renting space at the Izod Center for the next year to create studio space. So what we're seeing here is just the beginning. I can't do this stuff alone. I need help, and I got a lot of help on this, and I want to give some shout-outs. I want to thank the legislators who fought hard to restore this tax credit, including Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberger, who's not here, Senator and Mayor and Chairman Paul Sarlo to my left. Paul mentioned he set this one up 7 times in the last administration.
7 times.
7 times. He got the Spalding right back into his forehead 7 times. This time he got the pen. Assembly Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, Assemblyman Gordon Johnson to my right, Paul Moriarty, who's not here, Assemblywoman Valerie Huddle, among many others. I was speaking back and forth with Paul Moriarty yesterday, and it reminded me he used to live in Philadelphia right near the Art Museum. And he made the point to me, which he's made before to many, that multiples of people came to that art museum. I'm not necessarily sure we should be proud of this ratio, but it's a fact. Multiple of people came to see the Rocky statue and take pictures with it that went into the art museum. So this notion of pride is real, and we want to get some of that back. There's no reason we can't. I also want to give a shout out. Bergen County Executive Jim Tedesco's in the house. Jim, great to have you. Freeholders, Joan Voss is ready for her close-up, but so is Jermaine Ortiz and Mary Amoroso are here. So great to have you all with us. Judge Mike Dressler's with us in the house with his son and team. Honored to be here with you all. I've also got Secretary of State, Freeholder Tracy Zilna-Zor. You're in seat 1B, Tracy. Popcorn at any moment. Honored also to have Secretary of State Tahisha Way, who's going to speak for a minute after I do. But listen, we have everything right here to be a premier location for film and television, and I hope when filming wraps, the cast and crew here will be able to tell others of a New Jersey that welcomed them with open arms and is eager for the next production to get underway. Again, Matt, to you and your colleagues, I can't thank you enough for choosing to come to New Jersey. With that, I'm honored to introduce the Secretary of State, Tahisha Way.
All right.
Thanks, Governor Murphy. Now, when is my time slot to audition? I'm a 5'5" woman, mother of 4, and I just pulled out a tooth without any pain and played the Tooth Fairy. Yes.
Wow.
So I'm happy with my little toddler. So, good morning. It is definitely wonderful to be on the set of The Enemy Within with our distinguished elected officials, primarily Senator Sarlo, for all he has done. And of course, I want to give some kudos to my director of the New Jersey Motion Film and Pictures Commission, Mr. Steve Gorelick. He's in the house.
All right.
And most importantly, it is a wonderful opportunity to help celebrate yet another one of Governor Phil Murphy's accomplishments on behalf of the people of this great state. Recently, the governor gave an incredible speech outlining his economic vision, one that emphasizes innovation and entrepreneurship. Film professionals and creatives stand at the very intersection of that. As a whole, the industry is an economic and cultural behemoth. As Secretary of State, it is my great pleasure to oversee the New Jersey Motion Picture and Film Commission and carry out Governor Murphy's vision. And through those duties, I get to support the creators who make the world's most exciting stories come to life. The Motion Picture Association of America's numbers tell the tale. In New Jersey, the industry supports more than 11,000 direct jobs, 5,500 production-related jobs, and generates over $735 million in wages. So, the stars have definitely aligned to make this tax credit program a reality. This program is a love letter to individual and industry creatives in all the communities across New Jersey that will benefit from large infusions of commerce and activity. We are already experiencing a nonstop rush of production and expressions of interest directly attributed to this tax credit program. For instance, Madam Secretary just filmed in Englishtown. Ultimately, New Jersey wins when businesses and well-paying union jobs come to our state. The program also allows New Jersey to pay valuable homage to a legacy of filmmaking. We also will have the distinct opportunity to train future generations of film professionals and creatives, putting them on the right path for careers in this great state's thriving film and TV industry. Moreover, the governor's vision of inclusiveness and diversity are key to attracting top production companies and projects reflecting New Jersey's strong stances on equality and acceptance. So to close, 15 years ago, the trade publication Variety crowned us a top 5 state for industry activity. We lost our way for a few years, but now the Garden State is roaring back, eager to harness creative dreams and once again becoming one of the most active film production states in this nation. New Jersey, like today, has the wind at its back to do special things. So, lights, cameras, action. The magic is just beginning. Thank you so much.
Well said, Felicia. Well said. Thank you. I'm getting goosebumps just standing up here. It's also about 22 degrees out, which is probably also contributing. I mentioned that he's been a champion for this over the years, and it's my honor to introduce Senator, Mayor, Budget Chair, friend Paul Sarlo.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here in Cresskill in Bergen County. Let me begin by saying this, Governor. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, because thank you for recognizing that this is not some political giveaway. This is not some deal for some well-oiled political operatives or lawyers or lobbyists. This is about an investment in our economy. High-paying, good tech jobs, the digital media industry, the film production industry. So I go back about 8 to 9 years ago, visiting on Sylvan Avenue, down the street here, 9W, CNBC Studios, where we laid out a plan with all the executives there to put a bill on then Governor Christie's desk. I think I put a bill on his desk 6 or 7 times, and they always were shot down. So for me to be here today, Governor, with you and Secretary Way and NBC, who's always been participating here in New Jersey, this is just a great, great opportunity for us to grow our economy. And you're going to see a lot of this happen right here in Bergen County. So my district has the IZOD. You need to come there. Just not NBC, but we're going to shout out to everybody across this country. If you want to film, you want to make an investment in film production, come to the IZOD right here in Bergen County. We have a lot of great space there to film and to make make a lot of great films and a lot of great digital media industry here in Bergen County. As the governor said, these are great high-paying jobs. But more importantly, I want to give a shout-out to all the support folks, the caterers, the guys and gals who are pulling the wires, setting up the stages, all the other support jobs that are out there that contribute to our economy. We've been losing that for years. For the last 12 years, we've been losing that. Governor Corzine put a small pilot program, $10 million. It was gone in a couple of months, and we sat idle. No longer. New Jersey is not sitting idle anymore because of Governor Christie and my colleagues, Senator Weinberg, and my colleagues in the Assembly. We got this done. $75 million worth of opportunity for NBC and other affiliates across this country and this globe. Come to New Jersey. We're open for business. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks, man. Well said. I think you might have called me Governor Christie there, but I'm not. I'm just saying, you know. Just ask Governor Christie, does he have a pair of Allbirds? And if he doesn't, you'll be able to tell the difference, right? This is not just a Bergen County all-in affair, and you heard Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, Paul Moriarty, who have been at this as well, bless their hearts, from down south. But there's a big Bergen County oomph here because of some of the facts that Paul just laid out. And so it's great to have another couple of extraordinary legislators with us today. Two members of the General Assembly. I want to ask them to come up and say a few words. First, it's my honor to introduce my friend Gordon Johnson's in the House. Thanks, man.
Good morning, everyone. I would really like to see the governor tap dance.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here today because it's about jobs and opportunity. We in the legislature felt that this is primary cause to get these things going, get the film industry back to New Jersey. It is an opportunity and jobs. The tax incentives are already paying off after 3 months of it being enacted. The incentives make New Jersey competitive with our neighboring states, New York and Pennsylvania. Crews come to the sets and come to the locations. They buy food, they buy material, they sleep in our hotels, and it's all generates business. So as we bring back the film industry to New Jersey, we recognize that we are going forward. We're going ahead. We're doing something that should have been done years ago. So I thank my colleagues in the Senate and also my colleagues in the Assembly who all work together to get this done. And we must remember the term, well, firm and term, the term cliffhanger comes from Fort Lee because the industry was here initially. So I want to thank my friends, my colleagues, the industry here for making this possible today. And we look forward to the rebirth of the film industry in this great state. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Well done. There have been other cliffhangers in Fort Lee over the past several years, but not the kind that we're talking about today. Last and certainly not least, another extraordinary legislator who represents so ably her district in Bergen County, someone who's been at this, like so many, for years. Honored to introduce Assemblywoman Valerie Veneri Huddle.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. And I just also want to acknowledge Ritzy Morales on behalf of Congressman Pascal's office. Yes. You know, it's only been, 2 months, I think, since the governor has signed this piece of legislation. And I will tell you the activity in 2 months has been extraordinary. It was 2 days ago, Tommy, right? We're in Fort Lee, and we have a new Fort Lee Film Commission, the Barrymore Film Center. And people, or I should say movies and actors and actresses, they are like knocking down the door to get back into Fort Lee. And I will say this, Kevin O'Brien is here, and Gordon and I are golden members of IATSE. So if the crew needs any union members, Gordon and I are available. I also brought friends if they want to be stand-ins, we can do that as well. But I can remember before the Christie administration, I lived in Cliffside at the time, and they filmed Copland with Sylvester Stallone next door. And I will always remember that. And then 8 years later, we have certainly been in the dark. I mean, look at Empire, Boardwalk Empire, about Atlantic City. It was filmed in Brooklyn. It was filmed in Brooklyn because we did not have the incentives to bring people back to New Jersey. So, as everyone said here today, and as we stand here together to support not only the arts, but the economic engine, nothing will now compare to the Garden State. We send a clear signal today to the film and industry that we are open for business. And Governor, I can't thank you enough. In 2 months, look what's happened. Think about now the future. So thank you, Governor, and thank you all for today, for coming to Cresskill in our District 37.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Well done. Before frostbite sets in, we'll take a couple of questions if there are any. Sir.
Can you draw out a little bit on the $735 million in wages that we discussed here? Because, obviously there's been criticism in other states that film tax credits haven't reaped the rewards that they've paid off. I mean, can we just draw out that number a little bit?
I'm not sure I know what that number is. Did I say that? Paul, did you say it?
I didn't say it.
No, okay. I'm not sure I have a specific number for you, but this is, for us, this is the exact type of tax credit we want to pursue. And because we've spoken, Matt, over the past several years, I've been pretty critical of tax incentives as the entire economic strategy of a state. But from day one, the one big exception was, and by the way, as Tahisha said, as of earlier this week, we've laid out a blueprint where tax incentives are part of a broader, I hope more enlightened strategy. But this is the one that we've never wavered on because it pays back immediately. It's across the board good union jobs. It injects, as Valerie said, a straight dose of economic activity into the community with a spiderweb effect of the coffee shops and the diners and the restaurants of all shapes and sizes, the hotels, as Gordon said where you stay, and the personal pride thing. So when you add all that up, this was never one that we were critical of, and I'm glad we're back on the boards. And I would remind, because a lot of the states that have sucked the business from us, I would just say as a point of pride, and I think I'd have broad agreement up here, we're also a state that stands for the right things. So in addition to the tax incentives, we're a state that cares about all of its residents, not just some of them, that cares about the environment, that cares about getting things right. And I think that's going to further distinguish us going forward. Please. Hold on one sec. I get Dustin. I don't want to put words into Matt's mouth, but the numbers I've heard are in the, sort of an NBC Universal only investment right now is in the neighborhood. I'm hearing 50 million and 300 jobs, which I think is right? And so putting chum in the water to get that kind of economic activity, my gut tells me we'd do that all day long. Ryan.
So the conservative blog, Save Jersey, they have a post up with some screenshots of social media Facebook post from one of your staffers, Delaney Velasquez. She calls evangelicals a couple of profanities, called them molesters, liars, drunks, racists, heartless, bigots, and otherwise.
I assume this is an off-topic question, right?
I was trying to figure that out.
Just trying to figure out. Just a plot line for a new NBC show.
I knew that wasn't in my bill. I knew that wasn't in my legislation.
There are several of these.
The enemy within.
Yeah.
Particularly to evangelicals. And I'm wondering, do you think it's acceptable for a member of your administration to be writing these things, and are you going to do anything?
Well, I haven't seen it, so this is the first I'm hearing about it. Listen, we are sadly, because of our president, we're a very divided nation right now. We shouldn't be. And so this has inflamed an enormous amount of emotions on all sides of this. But I don't think there's any place for name calling and calling out whole categories of people. That's my first reaction. We got to make sure we can disagree without being disagreeable. I would hope in life that would be my base case. Well, it's the first I'm hearing it. So bear with me, and I'll when I digest it, we'll figure out what we're going to do. Please. So a couple of things. First of all, this derailment last night that somebody called a minor derailment. I'm thinking to myself, if I were on that train, it wouldn't be minor to me. So if people are upset about it, I don't blame them. Now, obviously, safety is our first responsibility, and otherwise delivering on-time, acceptable service. And this incident violates all of the above. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to reiterate we're almost 9 months in. We inherited a much bigger mess than I ever thought, and we thought it was a big mess. We were 13% of the way along toward this federal and mandated safety system called positive train control. 13% sounds okay. We had started in 2011. So 7 years, we got 13% of the way there. We're now 60-something% of the way there. Herculean effort, but we had to take trains offline. The engineering pool was allowed to drift down from 400 and something down to 300 and something. You need upper 200s to run the show every day. So degrees of freedom were whittled away because we canceled training classes or furloughed them. So we knew it was a challenge. It was underfunded. Funding was cut by 90% at one point. So we'll put the money in. We'll put the leadership in. We're going to get positive train control done. By the way, the deadline's December 31st. We are hiring more engineers, trying to find creative ways to train them faster. and still make sure that they're at the level of competence that we need. We desperately need a new tunnel under the Hudson, and I'm begging President Trump and his administration to please come to that. It's bipartisan supported. Literally, I don't know one Republican or Democrat who doesn't support this. We desperately need it. And you have incidents like last night that remind you of all the above. Too few degrees of freedom, a lousy history, and a federal government that we desperately need as partners. The audit. I believe we're going to actually unveil this audit next Tuesday at 11 o'clock in Metuchen. Is that correct? That's the plan. At least that's the plan at the moment. Beyond that, I've got no other details, but please stay tuned. Thanks for that. Please. I do not. Isn't that part three? Or not to nitpick a little bit here, but where am I going to be on election night? I don't know yet, but I'll be working. What's my message? Get out and vote. I'm a Democrat. We're Democrats up here. I'm a proud Democrat. And I want folks to, obviously I've got a bias in this. There's an enormous amount at stake. In our case, to keep Bob Menendez as our U.S. Senator. He's in a heck of a fight, and I believe he will win, but we can't take one vote for granted. We got 5 Republican House seats, which are, many of which are gettable, maybe all of them for us. Again, I've got a bias in this. You got this guy's on the ballot. She's on the ballot. Steve Tonelli and other freeholders on the ballot. We now have a new guy on the ballot due to circumstances, the sheriff candidate on our side, Anthony Curiton, who's an old friend of mine from the NAACP days. But regardless of which party you're in, get out and vote. Period, full stop. And what about Kavanaugh? Sorry? Okay, please. Yeah. This relieves the burden of whether it was a 3-parter or a 2-parter from your colleague. Yes. It feels to me like this is being jammed down our throats, and I don't like it. I have to say, before all these allegations come up, I was never supporting this guy. So I have to say, this hasn't changed my mind in terms of him as a Supreme Court justice. But I feel like it's getting jammed down our throats. I feel like there's a lot more folks who should have been spoken to. There's a presumption of, which really bothers the heck out of me. I suspect it does a lot of us here. That if a woman in particular raises her hand and says she was a victim, that she is in this current environment in our country, particularly on one side of the aisle, treated as though she's got to prove her innocence. She's got to prove her case. She starts standing in a hole, and I think that's completely reprehensible. So I'm not wild about how this process has gone down. I didn't like the way he behaved last week. That's not the sort of temperament, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. You want a Supreme Court justice who's going to even-handedly call balls and strikes, and his hair was on fire. I don't think that's what our forefathers envisioned with our Supreme Court. One more? Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm actually a crew member.
Oh, hey, man.
But I thought I'd first say thank you for
Great.
bringing tax incentive back. Grew up in Jersey, so
Great to have you back, man.
Secondly, I'm curious because a lot of us who have been based in Jersey, we've been commuting to New York City for jobs for a long time. What's your plan to compete with New York State and New York City?
In this arena or generally?
In the film arena. Film and television.
Well, this is a start. Where'd you grow up, by the way? Montclair, the People's Republic. Gordon just makes a point, by the way. This should also spur, and this is why community colleges, vocational technical schools are so important to us. This should spur a lot of education and workforce development in this industry. And so that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that the guys like Matt, when they're trying to make the call as to where to do something, one of the reasons you'll come here is not just the economic incentive, but you're going to say Jersey's got the trained workforce that knows how to deal with this industry. This is a start today to compete with anybody, not just New York. We're not necessarily looking to compete only with New York, but in the broader sense. We've got sort of a relationship with New York where, New York's the largest market in the world. When it does well, we almost by definition do well because we're in the broad metropolitan region. But we also feel like, and I feel like we haven't gotten our fair share whether it's this industry or the innovation industry more generally. We think we've got a plan, and we're gonna be doggedly pursuing it. Maybe one more, sir.
Thank you. I want to thank you as well because I'm on local 52.
I love you.
And yeah, $300 to $500 easy pass a month kind of
Yeah.
starting to get old.
Yeah.
So now it's nice that everything's going back to Jersey, and it's just a nice, it's a win-win situation for Jersey.
Yeah.
When you look at it,
So a lot of the unions have made this point to us over the past number of years that a lot of their members live here. And to your point, you've been schlepping across over there, and
The actors live here too.
a lot of the actors live here, which gets back to some of my personal reasons to be here today. No, sorry. But it's time. It's like nothing against New York, but let's reclaim our fair share of the turf here in this industry and beyond. I think with that, we're gonna Ryan.
I just want to ask one more follow-up on NJ Transit. The incident last night, I think, occurred in the A interlocking, which is the area where the summer of hell work had occurred.
Yep.
I mean, are you at all concerned, or have you heard anything about whether there was any issues with that work? And are you satisfied with the current inspection arrangement where NJ Transit inspectors can get in there and look at the work?
I don't have a specific answer in terms of whether or not this was as a result or related to work that was done over the past number of months. And as it relates to NJ Transit, just as a general matter, how could I be satisfied with anything? That's not a personal shot at anybody or anything. We're not where we need to be yet. But I will tell you this, and let's conclude with this, because it kind of gets back to getting in and out of New York City. We're going to fix it. I want New York to do well because when they do well, we do well. But it's going to cost them, I'm told, $35 billion to fix their subway system. That's not what we're facing in NJ Transit. For all the headaches and all the challenges and the mess that we inherited, this is fixable, and it will be fixed. And it will be fixed not tomorrow, but sooner than later. And that'll be another reason why folks will say, you know what, Jersey's they're able to move people around a lot more easily than other places, and than it was used to be in the state. So with all of that said, we know where we want to go. We're not there yet, but we'll get there.
On topic, we forgot to mention the Joker is being filmed in Jersey City as we speak.
If Valerie wants to go back on topic and reminds me that the Joker is being filmed in Jersey City, among other steps. So with that, I want to thank my colleagues and compatriots and all of you for coming out. NBC Universal, thank you. MPAA, thank you all.
Governor, I want you to say about Ed Turin.
I know it. Why just hug him?
Oh, you did? All right.
I'm going to come back and hug him again.
I know you, Bergen County, but I'm fine.